highlight reel. And I am just so excited because so often, people will look at you and say, well, you're presidential or you're ambassador, so I'm sure things are just really easy. And they're not always easy. We call it behind the highlight reel because today we're going to go behind it. We're going to get really real. We're going to be raw, and we're going to share the highs, and we're going to also share some lows of our stories. I always tell my team, don't get too high on the highs and don't get too low on the lows, because in this business, there are like the most exciting times where you literally are jumping up and down, and there's other days where you want to crawl in a hole and think, can I do this? Am I made for this? Am I good enough leader? Am I good enough mom? Am I good enough wife? We all question it, right? But we're here to tell you that we're real, and we're human, and we're kind of normal. Kind of. So I'm just going to begin by, actually, can we grab those other mics? We grab those? That way we don't have to pass all the way down. But we're just going to get started. If you guys would just mind introducing yourself and give like a little quick minute of your story.
My name is Kendra Fuller, and I am up in Lakeville, Minnesota. It is almost 4 years for me in the business. That'll be in April. Just quick, when I started this business, you guys, I was busy, and I love it when people are talking to me and they're like, I'm so busy. I am single. I just have too much going on. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their story of why they're busy. So I had a full-time interior design business. I had a 9-month-old. That business was like 60 to 80 hours a week that I was working. And I worked this business after my kid went to bed for like an hour or two. And that's what I did. That's what I did to grow super fast. And that's what I got.
I'm Alicia Geck, Ambassador Diamond, and I'm from just a little south of St. Louis. Guys, a very, very small town. 2 stoplights, Starbucks, 45 minutes away. Kind of. So, small town. I got started, it's almost been 6 years ago. It will be 6 years in March. I was a brand new mom, trying to make ends meet, running a business, trying to, build clientele, and we were busy, didn't have the money. We just wanted to make an extra $300 to $500 a month, and that's.
Okay. I'm Connor Stewart, Presidential Diamond. I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It'll be 2 years in March, which is just crazy to me. I feel like I just started. But a little background, I was in rehab for drugs and alcohol, and 9 months after I got out of rehab, I found out I was pregnant. Very unexpected and a huge surprise, but she's a little fussy now. And after her first birthday, I didn't get kicked out of college, so I love that Erica said earlier that it doesn't matter what your background is. I don't have a degree, like I have a high school education. And so I was just sick of living paycheck to paycheck and working for my parents and not being able to do everything I wanted to do, especially with my daughter. And so I came across It Works, and after watching for a year and a half, I said, okay, it's time to do something, even if I don't believe in it yet. And that's how I got here now.
Hey guys, I'm Ashley Renau, and I'm an ambassador. I also have the same sickness going on. I have my water, but I will be in 3 years in February, and I was a night shift labor and delivery nurse when I enrolled, but it took me 36 months to say yes. Literally, I was asked in February 2011, and I signed in February 2014. I thought it was the biggest scam. I thought people didn't really make money. And I was not a very nice person on my social media, whereas I was blocking It Works people because I thought they were annoying. So to say this business has changed our lives is a complete understatement.
Awesome. Okay, so you clearly have answered my next question. Did any of you guys like or comment on any photos before you joined? Did you guys like or comment on any photos?
I didn't mention that I was an esthetician, so I did skincare, I did wraps, I was fully trained in body wraps, and whenever I saw a before and after picture on Facebook, I laughed at it. I mocked it a little bit, but I was still intrigued, but not intrigued enough to like or comment on anything.
And I ask that because I think that's such an important piece to when you're growing your business. People will say, well, I'm not going to post on social media because nobody's liking or commenting on my things, right? Nobody's liking or commenting. But right here, people are still watching you. And I was the same way. I never liked or commented on anything of Mackenzie's. I was the biggest skeptic of all skeptics. And I'm way too yellow to be like, oh, what is she doing? But I really was thinking that. Like, I was like, that's so weird. Like, she's a photographer. She's totally photoshopping her before and after. Like, I really thought that. So know that when you are posting and people aren't liking or commenting, they are watching you. But the second you stop posting is the second they're going to be ready to enroll. And guess who they're going to enroll with? They're going to enroll with the next person they see that makes a post. So when we talk about posting on social media, it's not because it's just, well, just do that. It's because people, that's how you can, target thousands of people at one time. So consistent posting is very key, just as you've learned from, hearing their stories. So let's get into it, ladies. So we're going to start with one piece of advice you wish you would have known when you started.
People are gonna quit. I think that was with growing so fast. I promoted to presidential in 11 months. And so, we were all momentum. And, 2 of those people that were big in my business were my family. And after I went presidential, they just decided, what, this isn't for us. And then my double quit, and then another triple quit, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on with this, And so I wasn't prepared for that, but at the same time, I had amazing people that were there to, tell me that it was gonna be okay, and I had to go back to my steps. And you guys, I had life happen. I had so much life happen. So I was 9 months pregnant with my second daughter when I went presidential. 17 days later, I had her, and then 6 weeks after that, I became a single parent, and life happened for me, and I was still able, after all those people quit, to have an amazing upline who did not enroll me, but she was like, you are gonna come back stronger, and my business, 14 months later, was the strongest it had ever been. So
that reminds me kind of something I heard recently about, if people quit, if people don't see the vision, if they don't stick with you forever. And I just heard recently that people are going to come into your business for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think that's so important to remember. You can't make people want this. Like, you couldn't make that diamond, you couldn't make that triple diamond stay. But what you can do is you can do you, and you can do the best you can do, and the best thing to do is show them by your own personal actions. That's what's going to grow your team, and that's what's going to get people to see what you're doing and encourage them that, wow, look what she's doing. I need to do that too. So remember that you cannot motivate your team. All you can do is inspire them with your actions. So thank you for that.
So I've been in, like I said, almost 6 years, and there's been a lot of learning, a lot of growing in those 6 years. And one thing that I've learned in the past few is that ultimately, that's my alarm, thanks babe. Ultimately, we are paid to personally develop ourselves. It's backed by an amazing compensation plan. And I wish I would have known that when I first got in 6 years ago, because there was so much happening in between my 2 ears that prevented me from growing past Double Diamond for 2.5 years. I promoted to Double Diamond within 6 months of being in the business, and after that, my head got in the way and I stood there for 2 years. So if I would have understood that if I just worked on growing myself, I would have went on to triple, and I would have went on to presidential a lot sooner.
That's awesome. I remember very vividly a post that you had put up, and it was you in the mirror. Tell us about that post.
Okay, so I was at Double for 2 years, and then went triple, and then went presidential a month after that. And again, my head got in the way at presidential, and there's a reason why it got in the way at presidential. It's because, the people who I was looking up to as a double and people who I was looking up to as a triple were now ambassadors. So as a presidential, I thought, I'm not good enough to be an ambassador. I don't belong in that group. I'm not elite enough to be an ambassador. So, I'm doubting myself, I'm doubting my capabilities. And what I realized while I was doing that is I'm now telling my team that they're not good enough to be an ambassador, and that wasn't fair to them. So I got over myself, and I decided that I was gonna go ambassador. And I decided, I guess it was in March of last year, March of 2015, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. And in May, it was May 1st, because you gotta get the right mindset. It was May 1st that I wrote on my bathroom mirror, I am an ambassador diamond. And I looked at that every morning, I looked at it every night, and sure enough, June 30th of last year, I went ambassador.
That's awesome. Yeah, give her a round of applause. The power of I am is so incredibly strong. It's crazy. And we did a Zoom with Pam not that long ago, and she had said that before you get out of bed in the morning, before you go pee, you need to lay in your bed and say, I am. She used those words. She said, before you get out of bed to pee, she's like, say those words, I am. Tell yourself that. I always say that what you tell yourself, would you tell your children? Because so often we'll tell ourselves, well, I can't do that, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not good at this. Would you tell your kids that? Would you look at them before they go to school and say, don't even try, you're probably not going to do well on your test. You wouldn't tell your kids that, so why do you tell yourself that? What you put in your mind is what manifests, and so I'll never forget that power of I am.
It's so important, guys. One thing that I want to add to that, there's a difference between saying I am, followed by whatever it is, I am an ambassador, but there's a difference in saying it and truly, truly believing it. Because there was a point in my business where I would say, I am an ambassador, but I didn't believe it. There was a point, where I just had to get over myself and fully believe it before it was ever going to happen. So you have to believe it and not just say it.
That's awesome. Oh, thank you. Okay, Ms. Connor.
Something I wish I would have known before, or even getting in the business and being in the business, was when you promote really quickly, or if you achieve success and you start leaving those people behind that aren't coming along with you, that there are always going to be people that talk about you and say bad things about you and try to make lies and rumors about you to get other people to look down on you. Because promoting 8 months presidential, I had a lot of people, oh, she's paying people to sign up on her team and this and that, and it truly wasn't. I just finally got in my mind that I was going to do something and I wasn't going to let anybody stop me. But when those people see you moving forward without them, it really upsets them, especially if they've been in the business longer than you, or they just have something wrong with them, so they want to make you feel bad. And so even though on the outside I was saying it wasn't bothering me, and I had this Ninja Turtle shell on and I couldn't be defeated, and the inside it really bothered me. And then I started to realize, as I grew and started doing personal development, that I was just wasting so much time on that negative energy that people were trying to bring me down. And there's always going to be people that are going to talk about you. They're going to say bad things, and you just got to let it go. Just let it go through one ear and out the other, and just block it out. Don't even talk about it. Just say your piece and be done.
That's awesome. And it's important to remember, always be the person that if somebody says something about you, nobody would believe it, right? Because there's always going to be those moments where maybe you're questioned, or people, we live in unfortunately, a world that likes to seek out negativity versus positivity. And so it's hurtful and hard when sometimes those things happen, but be that person that if somebody ever says anything about you, they're going to be like, there is no way Connor did that. There's absolutely no way. And then you can just have that Ninja Turtle shell and move on. So thank you for that.
Well, and just to go off of what Connor said, one quote that I love is that other people's opinions about you really have nothing to do with you. And I think that's something that's really big to take into consideration and remember, because just in life in general, I think about that with my kids or anything. So for me, I think one big thing starting out was the people that I thought were going to support me weren't supportive. I remember calling my best friend so excited, telling her what I was doing, and she said, I am going to have nothing to do with that, and you're going to fail. People don't do good at stuff like that. And I was in my first week in the business. I had a newborn and a 2-year-old, and I started the business because my student loans, when I was on maternity leave with my newborn, I looked at my student loan account and it said if I kept making the minimum payments, they'd be paid off in 2030. So that I did the math in my head, and that would have made my newborn a senior in high school and my son a sophomore in college. And that was like a slap in the face. So that's why I started this business. But then, a week into the business, I remember sitting in the middle of the night breastfeeding, and I was scrolling Pinterest instead of working my business because I was already kind of feeling a little defeated. And I saw something that said other people's opinions don't pay your bills. And that, from that moment on, it was just like, watch out. Tell me I can't do it because I'm going to. So I went triple in 4 months. And then at that point, I went into this, like, I had gotten so used to having, Ruby my first month, Diamond my second month, double my third month, and then triple after that. And then I kind of got into this lull of like management mode, and I didn't really understand that. But I quit charting, and that was like something that I didn't realize, that was my roadmap. So I quit charting, and it took me a whole another year to go presidential, which was fine. And then after presidential, that ambassador chart is ridiculous. And I finally made myself, after like 6 months, go print this ambassador chart off huge. And I went ambassador in March of this year. And you guys, like, my business was always so strong. I had people come and go, but I just always knew I never put my business in the hands of anybody else. I'm very much a red, I'm very much a control freak. I never had help or support from an enroller. And so I just, was determined and put my mind to, if I need to go ambassador, I made a thing that said I had to have 80 people or whatever it was. And I put in my head, I don't need my team to sign 80 people, I need to sign 80 people. And that was just I put all the weight on myself. Well, I went ambassador, and then I turned around in July and lost it. I'd never lost a promotion before, and it rocked me to my core. And I think you guys are gonna get emotional. So then in September, my enroller in the business left the business and trashed my name. And anyway, so this has been a really strong year for growth for me. It's been amazing. It's made me a lot stronger person, but I sat there when I lost ambassador and I thought, why is this happening? Like, I'm still doing my steps to success and more every month. I'm still busting my butt. Why is this happening? And I feel like God told me, quit asking why. What do I want you to learn from this? And I wasn't relatable to my team. I had teams losing promotions, and I couldn't relate to them because it had never happened to me. So it has been, honestly, the biggest blessing. So, people relate to your struggles more than they relate to your successes.
Everybody can kind of agree that 2016 is just kind of an odd year, right? Like the election, we're not getting into it. And and I was pulling some numbers one day, and I saw that the biggest surprise to me was Apple, the company Apple was down. Like, they were at like 234 billion, and last year they were 216 billion this year, and last year at the same time they were 234 billion. And they just released a brand new iPhone this year. I was blown away. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. And so us as It Works Global grew this year. So no matter what the world feels like, no matter what you feel like, no matter what your team is experiencing, It Works Global is growing. And so I can only imagine. I like to say that this is it's kind of like a slingshot. Any time in your business, and whether it's this year, last year, or at just a moment in your business when you feel like you're getting pulled back, it's a slingshot, and you're just getting prepared to just fly forward. So think of that when you are thinking about, why am I being pulled back? And you question it, you think, wow, should I do this? Can I do this? You are just getting ready to launch forward. So hang on and get ready to enjoy the ride. So I'm super pumped for 2017 too, but that starts now. We're not waiting for 2017. It starts now. All right. So, what's it like? So, presidential diamonds make like an average of $17,000 a month. Ambassadors make like bajillion a month. And so, talk to us a little bit. I always say this, that money does not buy happiness, but debt causes crabbiness. And somebody just said it to me earlier. Yeah, she's like, I remember when you said that, so I wanted to be sure to tell you guys that money doesn't buy happiness, but let's be real, debt and worry of money and the stress of how you're going to pay your bills and the student loans that are building up, like that causes worry, that causes stress, that causes crabbiness. So let's talk just really quickly about what is it like to make, X amount of dollars in a month.
To be honest with you guys, the first time that I got a presidential check, I called Danielle Mahar. She was my ambassador upline. And I was crying on the phone. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this much money. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know what to do with this much money. And she's like, go pay stuff off. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So that was my whole thing. Like, I'm gonna pay off my student loans. I'm gonna pay off all this debt. And she's like, seriously, Kendra, like, shut up and just like do it, And so it was because my first presidential check was closer to ambassador pay. And then, every month after that, it was just like down, but that's the season of any business. And, I own 2 other businesses. I had a boutique that I just recently sold, and then my other business. And you guys, a lot of people are like, you really make that much money a month? And it's like, well, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Like, that's just how business is. So, people are like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And it's like, no, this is just business. And then we just, so yes, I've paid off so much debt with this business. I'm a single mom. I was able to buy my own home, move to a different town, just incredible things.
Okay, so I want to rewind before I tell you like what Ambassador Pay has done. When I got started almost 6 years ago, we were trying to make ends meet, and I can remember going to the grocery store, and a lot of people have heard me say this, but when you get to the checkout, I can remember having to say like a small prayer, like, please, like, just accept it, come across the screen, approve, come across the screen, please don't say declined again. I don't know what excuse I'm going to come up with this time. So I remember that happening, and I can remember getting started in this business and seeing, we don't have the chart up, but I can remember seeing the triple diamond average pay, and it's saying $10,000, and I just stopped at that point because that was a lot of money. I didn't even make that hardly in a year as an esthetician. So I stopped there, and I didn't believe anything further than that. But, so as an ambassador, because along the way, obviously, it was nice to be able to go to the grocery store and be able to pay for food and things that your kids want. But, so sitting here today as an ambassador, I can tell you, everything that it's done for us. I can tell you the amount of student loans that I paid off. We have no more student loans. I can tell you the house that we built and where we live. I can tell you the cars that we drive and everything that it's done for us. But that's not what it's all about. I was basically a single mom. My husband worked out of town, and we have 3 kids now, but for almost 4 years of our marriage, I was a single mom. He worked out of town, and my kids were growing up telling their daddy goodnight by FaceTime every night, and it's just hard. And being able to make the money now, he's able to be at home every night and give their daddy, my kids can now give their daddy a kiss, and he can put them to bed. So that's what it's about.
Kristen was just saying also about how, money does not buy happiness and it's not everything, but it gives us the options, and the option to either go to a job every single day or stay home with our kids. And the moment I found out I was pregnant with Wesley, I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't ever want to leave her. And so, And so, working for my parents, it was an absolute blessing, but it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and it wasn't going to pay the bills, and it wasn't going to pay for dance classes or soccer practice, or, her dad comes from a long line of horses, and that stuff's expensive, and I didn't know how on earth I was going to be able to pay that for her. And so, know the money. I mean, yes, it brings happiness, but it's not everything, and it's the little things like dance classes or going to the grocery store and getting the bread we want, not the bread we have to get, or just, you know, little things like that, or going to the gas pump and putting in more than $10 increments every time. Like, I used to hate filling up my gas tank, and my boyfriend will make fun of me still to this day because I would wait till the very last minute to put gas in my tank, and we'd be driving on E for 3 days. Finally, I learned my lesson one day because I was late to work while I was pregnant with her because my gas ran out. And now I actually like going to the gas station and filling up my gas and being like, boom, like it says accepted, it's approved. And so it's just the little things, and those are the things that everybody in the world can relate to. Buying clothes for your kids because they grow like weeds, and it's just, you know, being able to just come up here, spur of the moment. You know, Dad messaged me, hey, we're having an OTOM, do you think you can make it? And I looked at Blake, I was like, so should we go up? And he probably didn't really have a choice, but we're here anyways. And so just the little things, like coming on these little trips and going to the grocery store and gas stations and hobbies for your kids, and just having all the options and knowing that it doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is, you can achieve it. And you don't have to have, not saying it's bad to go to college, but if you don't have that college degree, you can still make the amount of money that those people who went to school for years and have tons of debt are making.
So I would say for us, the biggest thing is freedom. Like I said, I was a nurse, but I was a night shift labor and delivery nurse, so I honestly had like a dream career. I truly got to be the person that saw love at first sight, and I cried in deliveries, and it was the most rewarding job ever, but I was working full-time at one hospital, which was a 45-minute commute, and I was working part-time at another hospital in the same town. And so I was working anywhere from 48 to 60 hours a week, so that's night shift. I had to be there at 7 p.m., so I left my house by 6, and I wouldn't get home until like 8 a.m. So my kids were already at daycare when I got home, and I would literally sleep all day, drive to daycare, pick them up, put them in the car, drive to the town, or drive to the hospital parking lot, meet my husband in the parking lot, kiss my babies, and put them in the car with him. And so I said, you know, I loved delivering babies, but I was spending more time with everybody else's babies than I was my own. And as a nurse, there's not days off. Like we're open 24/7, 365 days a year. So it's kind of a funny story, maybe a little TMI, but Kristen Eller is here with me today, and we were labor and delivery nurses together. And I think about the holidays. Christmas is coming up. So my daughter just turned 3 on November 30th. And I was supposed to work that Christmas, but my whole thing in my head 10 months prior to that was I have to be pregnant and have a baby before Christmas because it's my Christmas to work, so I have to be on maternity leave. So we had a group chat of nurses, and I was taking ovulation tests, and I was like, you guys, I have to work tonight and I'm ovulating. So somebody picked up my shift so I could have a baby. So it's just the freedom. You don't have to have a baby to get Christmas off. I never knew that. I love it. Oh, we're talking about it last night.
So we're just gonna go home and do an ovulation kit tonight. You don't have to. So I think we can all agree that being relatable is the gas in your car, is the dance lessons, is the new shirt you bought, is the day to the movies or whatever. So a lot of people say, I don't have a story. I'm not making thousands of dollars a month. You guys, that's not what people relate to. What people relate to is being able to, put their gas in and letting it fill till they hear the click, or going to the grocery store and buying the bread they want because they can. So those are the things. I don't feel that you don't have a story. If you make $25 in Rap Cash, what are you doing with that $25? So remember that as you're thinking of I don't have anything to share with the world. You do, and those are the things people are going to relate to. So, okay, ladies, one of the biggest obstacles you faced, and how did you overcome it getting to the top?
Okay. I kind of touched base on it earlier, but by far my biggest obstacle, and guys, there's a lot of hurdles and struggles and things that I've gone through in my 6 years, but the biggest one was getting over myself. Putting the doubts aside, not believing in myself, that was by far the biggest thing. And I get asked a lot, like, how did you get over that? How did you get over that hump? And guys, it was personal development. It was a lot of personal development, a lot of reading, a lot of praying, a lot of just pouring into my team that helped me by far get over that big hurdle.
My hurdle was, it actually happened in the very beginning, which I'm very thankful for, but it was actually when I was going Ruby, and I remember very vividly, I was staying in my grandma's kitchen, and I think it was Ashley who said earlier, the people who we think are going to support us when we start out usually are not the ones that get us started and get us going. And so here I was, all pumped up about this business, just ignorance on fire, ready to rock, and it was my mom, and she's, after getting out of treatment, she's really become one of my best friends, and she was like, well, don't get your hopes up, and so I'm sitting in my grandma's kitchen, and I'm just frustrated because whether it was signing a distributor or a loyal customer, it wasn't happening in the moment I wanted it to happen. And so I was like, you know what, she could tell something was bothering me, and she goes, what's wrong? And I was like, well, I just don't think I'm gonna hit this promotion. She goes, well, see, I told you not to get your hopes up too high. And hearing those words come out of her mouth just really set me off, and I was like, what? Like, thinking to myself, what did you just say to me? Like, you've always been my biggest cheerleader. And so it's just getting over the thoughts in your head about, it's just like the devil speaking into your head. Oh, you can't do this. You're not worthy of it. You don't deserve this. What makes you think you deserve this? And so finally, hearing those words out of her mouth just set me off. I was like, you know what? I am doing this, and I'm going straight to the top. I'm going all the way. When you're ready to join me, let me know. But until then, bye. And you just gotta ignore the people saying all the negative things and the naysayers, because you are totally, completely in control of your success, your future, and everything, and you can accomplish it. It doesn't matter what they're saying. And so if you're having those hurdles, like, my advice to you is to not hold it in and keep it to yourself. Tell somebody, tell your upline, tell a sideline, tell somebody on your team, and just let it out, because chances are you're not the only one feeling that way, and the two of you, or how many of you there are, will get over it together, because I'm sure, like I just said, I had those doubts, and so if you're having those doubts, tell me. That type of thing, you just gotta, and so I'm thankful that it happened in the very beginning, because from then on, it's just kind of like, I'm not listening, can't hear you, earplugs. We actually had a Zoom with Jay Hooper the other night. It's like, she said to put like a glass thing, I can't remember what she said, something about a glass jar like over your head. You just kind of hear the voices echoing. They can talk all they want, but you're not hearing them.
Well, I talked about my struggle, and I feel like this year it's just been my leaders. I've never been one that's been like super vulnerable with my leaders. I've never been one to talk like about my problems to people. And I just gave, Pam always says, if you're having a hard day, it's okay to stay in bed for one day and just cry your eyes out. But after that, you gotta pick yourself back up and you gotta move. And so I had one day that I just remember that I like lost it. And then that same day I went on the ambassador page, which was really, really hard for me. But I went live in the ambassador page because I felt like they would be the only ones that could really maybe relate to me. And I just spilled my heart. And I think that you can't hold everything in. Find somebody that you can talk to. If you're struggling, talk it out. Get it out so you can get out of your own head. Because when it's sitting there in your heart and you're filling your head with it, then you start the devil, like you're on the devil's team then. He's winning. So you've got to get out, you've got to talk about it, and then you've got to decide you're going to pick up and move on.
I think my biggest struggle was being married and having my spouse not even an ounce into the business and the success that I was wanting and pushing for in the business. And he worked full time, would come home, we kind of like, hey, hi, see you, I'm going to do a party. And it was really, really stressful in our marriage. And the whole thing that I had in my head was, if I can just work really hard to get to Triple Diamond, that would replace both of our incomes and he could be home full time with us. And the more successful I became, the further and further my marriage came to failing. And it was really, like, it was always one of those things that I was just like, I'm just gonna hold on to this, I know this is gonna be okay. And then, like I said, 6 weeks after I had my second daughter, it didn't happen that way, and we weren't the happy family, and I was now a single mom, and even having, like, I've always been, there's 4 kids in my family, and I've always been the very driven, motivated, I'm gonna succeed, I'm gonna do something with my life, and having your family on top of your husband not be that way, it was just like, I really had to pull my faith in and just be like, this is what you're meant to do, this is your dream, you're not quitting, and just going from there.
That's awesome. And you guys, I love when Mark Pentecost says, you're gonna fall, okay? You're gonna fall, but how quick are you gonna get back up? What are you willing to do to get over it? I agree. I think it's very important to know that you're not alone, and when you do hit a wall, to know that you're not the only one that's ever hit this wall, or you're not abnormal for feeling the way you feel. And I think it is important to be able to talk about it. But I always say, come with a solution too. Though, if you're wanting to just talk about it, it's okay. But think of solutions. Like, think about, you're going to come to me, and this is what you're struggling with. Now what are we going to do? We're not just going to talk about it. What are we going to do? And so just know that you're not alone in those struggles, that you are going to hit those walls, but on the other side of it is so worth it. So bust through that wall. If you have to climb over it, go under it, whatever you have to do, get on the other side of the wall, because you can only imagine what is going to be there. It's awesome. It's so awesome. So you guys, any doubts in your mind, and how did you get over it?
I think the biggest doubt came just recently in this dang ambassador promotion, because, like I said, you guys, growing super fast in your business and then having it fall apart and then having to start it all back over again, it's like, I am never gonna get there, like, what the heck? But again, it's all about who you are surrounding yourself with. And just being able to pour into the people that want to be poured into, and pouring into yourself. I mean, for real, it's amazing what worship music has done for my life, and finding like-minded women that want to be successful and are pushing towards that same thing. The I Am page that we have, just finding those like minds that are like, no, you can do this, and you're going to do this, and it's going to happen.
And I think it's important to think about who are the top 5 people that you spend the most of your time with, and who that you connect with, because those are the top 5 people that influence you the most. So if you are in any sort of group, or you're in any sort of page, or anything that just doesn't feel good, it just doesn't lift you up, it's okay to get out of it. It's okay to step out of something that isn't lifting you up, because all it's doing is dragging you down. And somebody on my team the other day said something about, like, if you're hanging on to 5 kind of amazing things and they're kind of pulling you back, they're holding you back from that really big amazing thing that you're going for. So just know that it's okay to let go of some things and really be conscious of what you are surrounding yourself with, because what is around you is what feeds your mind, and you want it to be positive, you want it to be inspirational, and you want it to be those people that are going to lift you up.
So doubt is and has been my journey. But there's one thing, or a few things, I guess, that I never did doubt. I never doubted the products. I used the products, and I loved the products. I saw them work. I never, ever doubted the company, because I got to events. I felt the heart of corporate. I knew them, and I knew what I had my hands on. I never doubted that this opportunity was for me. Never doubted. But I doubted myself. Okay, so the biggest thing I said is personal development. I poured into myself, because if I wasn't pouring into myself, what I was doing is I was pouring into my team and I was giving them everything that I had, but I was running on empty. I was running on empty because I wasn't refilling my own tank. And what I learned is that I had to take the time to really, really fill my own cup, because if it wasn't full, I couldn't make it full for them. So I did focus on that personal development, and I focused on doing things that really, really made me feel full. Whether it was going out for a day to go shopping with my friends, we called it working, but we were really just hanging out. Whether it was going to get a massage, or whether it was going to work in a coffee shop, whatever it might have been, like that was gonna fill me up, and that was gonna make the doubt go away. That made me feel full, so I could pour into my team and I could get over that doubt.
I think for me, it was people quitting. Not so much the people that got started and, you know, were kidnappers and you didn't ever see them again, but the people that had made it to diamond, the people that had made it to double and triple, and then quitting made me question my leadership. But you guys, it's not about the people that quit, it's about the people that stay. So you need to focus. I mean, that's one of the great things, and I do the same thing that Mackenzie did, where we show a Ruby, but I've never thought to do the sixth person and show that person that quit, because there's so many people that don't realize you can use the depths of your chart. It doesn't have to be the, you know, people directly underneath you. And sometimes you will find like the most amazing friendships, and those people, I mean, you can literally find diamonds in the rough in the depths of your chart. So I think that I just had to realize that it's not about me and knowing my dreams. Somebody else that quits, that's not, you know, they don't get my dreams. They don't understand my goals. So I have so many people that decide like, oh, well, my team's all quitting, so I'm gonna quit. What? Your team doesn't care about your dreams, but why are you gonna quit on your own? So I think that it's just really important to realize people are gonna leave your business, and that's okay, but you've gotta make the choice that you're here for the long haul, because this business can truly change your life.
That's awesome. You know, I think that it's important to remember people don't join this business for you, okay? People aren't joined. When you enroll a new distributor, it's not for you, it's for them. And so for you to feel that they have quit on you, which means you should quit, that's not the mindset you should have. The mindset should be that you are so blessed to be able to help change their life. But if they decide that this isn't for them, they didn't start for you. So don't let that stop you. You got to carry on with your dreams. And you know what we always say too is that let anything in your business, whether it's a struggle, whether it's somebody leaving, whatever it may be, use that as your fuel. Don't use that as water on your fire. Use that as your fuel, and use that to make your fire burn so much brighter that people cannot ignore you. Because like I said, we live in a world of negativity. People like to see people fail. It is sad. It is so sad. But don't be that person that people can say, ha ha, I told you it wasn't going to work, or I told you weren't going to be able to do it. You be that person that when you walk in a room, they're like, oh, there they are doing it. They are in this business that is changing. Look how happy they are. Look at them, they're buying their new shirt with their $25 wrap cash. They're filling their gas tank. Like they're happy all the time. What are they doing? You know, be that person. Don't be the person that gets down on yourself and gets yourself in this group that only talks about the bad things that are happening, right? This is 2016 and we're ending really strong, guys, right? If you guys had to say one thing you are doing to build so strong this last, you know, we have like literally 30 seconds probably. If any of you guys have one thing, what are you doing to finish this year strong?
Stop telling yourself that it's a slow season, because it's not. I don't know who made up this term that it was a slow season, but there's no such thing as a slow season. People are always buying things. People always want to look better. They always want to feel better. And last year was my first year, and I promoted to presidential in November. I didn't realize that was unusual. When I got on the call with Pam, and she was like, well, you're the only one. I was like, what? I did more. And so don't let that thought, because it just kind of circulated all over the board that it was a slow season, and it's not. It's just not. So just keep pushing and just end this year stronger than ever, and just think of, you know, your last paycheck being the one that's going to pay for Christmas. Like, that's my motivation, because I just want to buy it
See.
Yeah.
You guys, what you do this next month is how you are going to start your next year. So how you are finishing this year is how you are going to start next year. And so what you're doing right now, even if you're like, yeah, I'm doing my steps to success, or I'm planting all of these seeds, you may not get that harvest right now, but it's coming. We are getting into the busiest time for health and wellness products. And don't you want to be the one that people are like, I'm ready to conquer my New Year's resolutions? Don't you want to be the one that they go to? So what you start your business with right now is going to make such a difference in 2017. So you guys give them a big round of applause. I'm so happy that you guys joined us today.